So let's dive straight in. I see that we have over 250 people, 270 people logged in. Awesome. I'll make an assumption when you are here with us right now, it's probably because you are publishing online or you want to publish online and you have this feeling that this can feel quite overwhelming. No matter if you're just starting out, you're brand new, or you want to grow your audience and you've been on several platforms before. Maybe you've been writing on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Medium. Maybe you've had a newsletter, but haven't really been able to grow it so far. Either way, you're here because you want to explore something new. You want to see a different side of growing your audience. My promise to you today is that you leave the session with clarity on whether Substack is the right platform for you in 2026 and clear next action steps so that you know what to do. When you signed up for the session, we also made a little promise to prepare a gift for you. It's the Substack Growth Playbook for 2026. This is basically a collection of the strategies that we have already tested and that we are doubling down on this year. So if you are live with us and stay until the end of the session, you will receive this gift straight to your inbox after the session. I really encourage you to stay until the end because if you've been to any of our sessions before, you know that we always close with an extensive Q&A session. I have a lot of slides prepared for you. I want to touch on a variety of different topics today. But if you have any questions, no matter if you already have them in your mind right now or they just come up throughout the session, always put them in the chat. We have a separate Q&A section as well, and the chat is being monitored so that your questions get moved so that we can address them at the very end of the session. My co-founder Yari and I were staying live until all questions are answered. So really don't shy away. Be open, be curious, but also just be willing to share your questions. If you have a question, someone else is probably wondering about the same thing. Now, before we dive in, I have a few quick housekeeping rules. I want to encourage you to turn off everything that is operating in the background and that could disturb your experience so you can really soak up all the greatness and the energy in this session, especially if you're live with us. As I said before, the chat is moderated, so we won't tolerate any spam, links, or any form of disrespect. And I really want to just give you one more encouragement to explore something new today. Think of how you can apply all the things that we are discussing today. Maybe you see a direct link to how this can be applied to your situation. Maybe you realize that there are things that you have not thought about in that way before, and you'll realize that there's a different way to think about content and growing an audience, hopefully. So yeah, I'm excited to dive in. As I said before, my two co-founders are behind the scenes with me. They're in the chat with you, and Yari will be joining me for the Q&A session at the very end as well. Now I want to get a quick feeling for the room. I think everyone is locked in now. I see we're at over 350 people here in the session. Give me a quick hint in the chat if this is your first time joining one of our sessions. As I've read through the emails, I got a feeling that we have a lot of first timers with us. I know that a lot of people have come across our publication and our work through YouTube lately. Our publication has been growing really rapidly as well. So if this is your first time, let us know real quick. Okay, lots of first timers. So my instinct was actually pretty accurate. I see Jeffrey saying, I feel like a CNM groupie. No matter if you're a first timer or you've been with us dozens of times before, you're very welcome. And again, we are here to answer all your questions today. So welcome to the session. Thanks for bringing your time and attention to us. And I promise that we'll do our best to make it worth your time. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Sinem. It's a Turkish name. I'm based in Vienna, Austria. My family is from Turkey, and I've been writing online since 2018. Over this period, I've seen dozens of opportunities and platforms come and go. And the reason we're hosting these sessions and we're so excited about Substack is that none of these platforms and opportunities came with the level of ownership, connection, and the growth opportunity that is available on Substack right now. In my peak times on Medium, I've been reaching up to 350,000 readers per month. Now, if you are in media or if you've, been writing for a while and you've been checking your stats, you'll know that this is a very, very high number for an individual writer to reach, especially through long form content. But even though I had over 80,000 followers on my profile, and I still have them on my profile on Medium, the truth is that I'd exchange 80,000 followers for 8,000 subscribers in a heartbeat, because vanity metrics like followers don't pay your bills. And this is true for any platform, regardless of whether you're writing on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, or whatever other platform you're using. Followers are not the metric that we're focusing on. Instead, we have a different goal. And that's the goal that I wanted to keep in mind throughout the entire session, because the only thing that matters when you're building something online is whether you reach people who truly want to hear from you and who will see your work in their inboxes every time you publish. You've seen this yourself as a consumer of content. Algorithms are getting cluttered. Algorithms are not reliable. Our feeds are really not predictable anymore. They haven't been for a very long time. So the inbox is the only sacred place that we have access to. You essentially want to build an audience you own. You don't just want to get views. You don't want followers. I know this is what you might think when you're starting out. You feel like you just want people to see your work and follow you, but that's not really why you want to build something. You want to build an audience that truly wants to hear from you in the long run, right? And that was also our motivation when we joined Substack back in July 2024. We joined without really having very specific expectations. I've had mixed feelings about Substack at that point, because I've been on Substack a couple of years before, but then it was really just a platform to send emails. And I left the platform because there was no discovery option when I was first on Substack in, I think it was 2021. And then in 2024, when we came back, the platform had changed fundamentally, and suddenly it was possible to grow a massive audience internally, which made it really exciting. And after digging into the platform for the first couple of weeks, we got the first bestseller badge within 2 months. So we had our first 100 paying members. And by now we have grown to over 1,000 paid subscribers within 18 months. And if you've been on Substack for a while, again, you'll see that there are not that many publications with that orange badge having over 1,000 subscribers, paid subscribers. So that's really not just a pleasure, but also an honor that we don't take lightly. And we really appreciate each and every one of you. If you're here, if you're one of our premium members, thank you for your support. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for checking out our stuff and just being with us on this journey. And if you see those numbers, your instinct, your first instinct might be, okay, this was luck. Maybe it was viral content, and maybe it was weird growth hacks that I don't want to use myself because I'm not a marketer, I'm not a growth hacker, whatever. But the truth is, it was none of that. And you will actually be able to see that very clearly when you take a look at our publication and scroll through our archive. Our entire growth was basically based on strategic systems, repeatable frameworks, and a growing platform. I don't say this lightly, because the fact that Substack is growing massively right now was a massive help to how we've been able to position ourselves. And that's also why I'm excited to have so many of you in this session, because 2026 is really the year for Substack. And there are so many signals that are showing us that right now is a really exciting time to be on the platform. And that's primarily because we see that attention is moving right now. Again, I don't know if you've already been reading on Substack, if you've been a consumer, or if you've just been silently watching from the sidelines. But what has happened on Substack lately is publications and media like The New Yorker have their own Substack publications now. People like Gary Vee are hiring entire Substack growth strategists and writers. These are people who have hundreds of thousands of followers and subscribers on other platforms and are now adding Substack to their own stacks. The same is true for Justin Welsh as a major example. He has 800,000 followers on LinkedIn, is now publishing on Substack in addition to his other channels. Kamala Harris has published on Substack. We have brands like Rare Beauty from Selena Gomez having their own publications and basically posting behind the scenes content and in-depth content for their audiences. And when you see those major names, brands, legacy media, and public figures, you might be wondering what this means for you, right? Because if you are just starting out, maybe this is a discouragement. Maybe you feel like, okay, if I don't have this big brand name. What am I even doing there? But the truth is that all these people paying attention to Substack and publishing on Substack is a major advantage for people like you and I who don't have these massive brands yet. Because what happens is when these people and brands publish on Substack, they are making it public to their existing audiences and fans, right? So they're sharing it on other platforms, which brings a massive audience, or at least massive attention, to Substack as a platform. So when Gary Vee is posting about Substack, he shares one of his articles in his newsletter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or whatever. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of people realize that they might want to check out Substack as well. And when these people come to Substack, they are not just going to read that one writer who brought them to Substack. They're also going to explore other writers, because someone might follow Gary Vee for advice on social media, but that exact same person might also be interested in advice about gardening, or might be interested in writing about culture, or about parenting, or learning languages, or he might be interested in tech, or whatever other topic that you are personally writing about. And this is basically the shift that we are seeing and finding really fascinating right now, because the window for growth on Substack is wide open. If you pay attention to the platforms that we've been used to over the last couple of years, we haven't really seen this massive shift over the last couple of years. So it's a really interesting growth period right now. And I see a lot of people from various different backgrounds being really, really excited about it. I've been scrolling through LinkedIn just the last couple of days, and I saw people like Stephanie here, for example, saying that she started a year ago and it's paying off big time. She has a consulting business, and it's basically where she's putting all her focus on right now, and she understands why people are so bullish on it. Or I've seen Alicia Teltz join Substack lately. I've had really lovely conversations with her. She's on LinkedIn. She's worked for LinkedIn, and she's been posting really her journey on Substack over just the last couple of days, and also being really excited about the community and the vibes that she's been experiencing here. And the truth is that we're still in the early days here. And I've seen one more stat that I found really interesting from Bastien here on LinkedIn. He has shared the results of a large study they have done in the US, where they realized that after interviewing, various PhD candidates, professors, subject domain experts in various fields, only a very small percentage of them have already been publishing on Substack or are publishing on Substack, which again means that we're still at the very beginning, even though the platform is already so active and so welcoming and encouraging to new creators. Now, give me a quick hint in the chat before we dive into the first main point of the session. If you are already publishing on Substack, or if you've been more of a lurker, a reader so far, and if you came to Substack through some of your favorite writers, or whether it's really just been your interest in starting to publish yourself. I see a lot of people already publishing. That's exciting, but also some completely new creators. Awesome. So if you're completely new, I hope that this session will encourage you to start publishing as quickly as possible, especially if you haven't been publishing on any other platforms either. I can promise you that getting started on Substack is really the easy way, and you will face a very welcoming and friendly community over there. Danielle just said started 6 days ago. Well, that's perfect timing to join the session now. Susan said already published 14,000 subscribers. That's amazing. Awesome. Amy said feels like a great place to share a unique voice and find others who align. Absolutely. That's exactly how I would describe it as well. Perfect. Then let's move on to our first main point of the session. Let's talk about how you can actually leverage Substack as a platform and why it is so unique right now. Because you might be thinking you're not sure yet if Substack is the right platform for you, right? Maybe you think that maybe another platform is a better fit for your current goals or needs. So I hope that the next couple of minutes are going to make it very easy for you to decide whether this is a fit or not. The way I look at it, Substack is the only platform that combines a lot of different elements. You have the publishing element. Your words are visible. Unlike social media, your posts don't just disappear in a feed. They land in the inbox of your subscriber. Again, what I said before, you don't just build followers, you build actual subscribers who want to genuinely consume your work. And you build a lasting library as well. I said a couple of minutes ago, that you can basically follow our journey and see that everything I'm sharing here is true because you have full access to our archive. If we were posting on any other platform, it wouldn't be this easy for you to basically see what we have done and what kind of library we have built. But on Substack, you are not just, publishing into the void or publishing one piece after the other. Every single piece you publish is really building your library and your archive, which makes it so much more attractive for people to subscribe to your work in the long run. The second element you have is email. If you don't have an email newsletter yet, you've probably heard this thousands of times. If you want to build an audience, if you want to publish long term, you need an email audience. And every subscriber who subscribes to your publication on Substack automatically gets your content straight to their inbox. That's a really big differentiator for the platform. Now you have community, and we will talk about this a lot in the next couple of minutes throughout the entire session. On Substack, you build real connections and you turn casual readers into engaged fans who, in the best case, interact with you directly. And again, you might have seen this with our audience. If you've been hanging out in our chat, for example, or in some of our comment sections on the platform, you'll see that it's a very, again, warm, welcoming, and open community. And of course, this is part of our community, but you have all those features and elements right there on Substack. You don't need to go look for other tools or platforms to do all of this. If you're starting from scratch, you can literally do it all on Substack, at least for the beginning. And you have monetization, which of course just makes it all more exciting because you can leverage paid subscription so that your best work gets rewarded without, again, any extra tech tools or platforms. Or you can monetize externally if that's what you prefer to do. Or you can, of course, also do both. Now, with all of these features, you can build full leverage because your Substack publication doesn't just consist of postings, articles, or blog posts. You have email, you have long form posts, but you also have short form notes. You can create a podcast, you can do a live stream, and that's still not all, right? You have the chat feature, you can communicate with others, you can collaborate, also something that we'll dive into throughout the session. And when you take all these different elements into account, you'll realize that even if you are on other platforms right now, you don't have to quit them. You can literally add Substack as another layer to your business, to your brand, and you can leverage pretty much any type of content on the platform, which makes it really perfect to build a content hub and to repurpose any work that you've created so far. No matter if you've been on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on X, on Instagram, you have a space for all of them on Substack. And we're doing this ourselves. We've already started to do this last year, but we're really doubling down this year. Again, if you came across our work on YouTube for the first time, you might have realized that every single video we publish on YouTube actually also goes into our Substack publication as a posting. So instead of doing double the amount of work, we are scripting a video, we are recording a video, but then the video is already also sent out as an email post to our subscribers on Substack. And we found that for us in particular, this just works really well. Again, we are just trying to make the very most out of our content in various different ways and formats. Now, the biggest differentiator is that most platforms out there right now control and limit your organic reach. Why? Because they want you to pay to get the reach. On Substack, you have ownership, and this is really huge right now. And ownership means that you have more control over how to reach your audience. And here's why this really matters in the long run. You need to think about your writing as a magnet. That's really the way I like to look at it, your content overall. But a magnet is pretty useless if it's in isolation, right? a magnet only works if you bring it close to something that it can pull. If you have a magnet and it's not close to anything that it could potentially pull, it's not working. And I want you to think of online writing or content creation the exact same way, because if you think about content on YouTube being a magnet, for example, but nobody sees your content, then it's not going to be magnetic. Magnetic writing or magnetic content basically means that you attract the right people. Your content itself might be brilliant, but if you don't get it close to people who will actually love it and who will enjoy it, everything you create is just words floating into the void, and it's never reaching the people it's meant to reach. That's why a beautiful website with no readers is essentially useless. And I've been seeing this exact same mistake for years now. People think that they need to work on their branding, on creating a beautiful website, on making sure that the backend is all beautiful and perfect. But the truth is that the only thing that matters is that you have a message, you have something that you want to share with the world, and you bring it close to people who will benefit from it. And I've seen a lot of people feeling very similarly about Substack. And you've probably seen postings like this as well. This is Ryan basically saying, nowhere in the history of the internet have I had authentic, engaging, expansive, heartwarming, and hilarious conversations with such consistency as I have here. This place feels like the spark with the power to reignite humanity. The world needs more of whatever magic we're making here on Substack. And again, if you've been engaging with the audience on Substack, this is probably how you feel too. It's a really different space compared to all the social media platforms that we've been used to over the last decade. And there's a specific pattern and a roadblock that a lot of creators really face when they start publishing. And it's really just based on a big lie that creators often tell. I call this the creator hell. Because most creators out there, especially beginners, are really stuck because they're pumping out content for years without any connection. They hear this advice to show up consistently, but the truth is that the gap between creating content and getting seen is bigger than ever. And this is partly because AI has made it stupidly easy to create content, right? An AI tool can create content within seconds. So if you want your content to be seen, you have to play a different game nowadays. And the right platform can help you close that gap. It's not the only thing that matters, by far not, but it is a very important part of the whole game. And on Substack, readers are actively looking for new ideas and voices to discover. What I've just shared with you, what Ryan has written about Substack, that's also how readers and consumers on the platform feel. Of course, we have way more readers and people who are not writing than people who are actually building their publications on the platform. But even as a reader, even as a person who is not active, you feel that kind of energy on the platform. And if you talk to your friends, talk to your family, and really just reflect on how you've been using social media over the last couple of years, you're probably sick and tired of the same patterns yourself. And that's why having this space that just feels like a breath of fresh air is really just a great place to be in. And this is your opportunity to bring the magnet closer to the metal, to bring your ideas, your work, maybe the body of work that you already have, to the right people. And the way I love to look at Substack, especially for complete beginners who've never published anything online, is really as a content hub. You can leverage Substack as your home on the internet while you build your audience and while you start monetizing your work. Of course, if you already have an audience, if you have other platforms that you're leveraging, it's just an additional puzzle piece, and you can use it in many other ways as well. Well, let's take a quick look at the numbers. We've seen Substack's total monthly visits growing year after year so far. The newest numbers are not published yet, but there has been a very clear growth trajectory. Paid subscriptions in particular are really exciting because it means that people are now actually willing to pay for content, which is a really interesting shift in my opinion, because we've all been bombarded with content over the last decade, and now people are realizing that there's actually value in keeping your inbox clean, and they want to actively pay to get the content from their favorite creators, favorite writers, favorite voices, instead of just having this overwhelming flood of emails in their inboxes. And this is particularly interesting if you already have a business, if you have a coaching, consulting business, if you have a B2B business. The majority of Substack's traffic and visitors right now is coming from English-speaking countries, which can be really interesting if you use it in a way to attract leads to grow your business on the platform. Now, we've talked a lot. We've almost been here for half an hour. I will take a quick look at the chat to see if there are any questions, if there are any thoughts, anything that came up over the last couple of minutes. In the meantime, give me a quick hint in the chat what you personally find most exciting about Substack. Again, because the platform is so diverse, there are a lot of different ways to use it. I told you before, for example, you can do a podcast, you can do live streams, you can do community chats, etc. But maybe you don't want to do any of those things because you just want to write, or you have 100 articles on your website and you finally want to take them in front of readers or in front of new readers, and you don't want to use any of the community features or the other content types that are available on the platform. I see Mireille said, if you're active on Substack, it feels really cozy. That's a beautiful way to frame it. Sandra said, I have a burning passion to create a podcast about the truth of homeless. And I stumbled on this a couple of days ago. I've seen that a few times over the past week, actually. It's been the first, I haven't seen it over the last months. And now over the past week, I've seen a few people who basically actively said they came to Substack to specifically start their podcast, which I find really interesting as well. Amy said the quality of writing seems so much more engaging. Alyssa saying the ability to find readers for my writing, getting paid for my writing. Most of my content is free. It seems like there is quite an overlap of what you all find interesting, though. At the bottom line, we all want to find people, or we want to get our work in front of people who really want to see it, engage with it, maybe potentially become paid clients, become collaboration partners. I say Julian said, as a marketer, I like the fact that reaching people feels easy while at the same time giving you a high level of connection with them. Exactly. Totally agree with that. Laurie said, how do you monetize by just writing? If you want to only write on the platform, you are basically getting paid for your writing, because everything you put behind the paywall is just your writing, and people will pay to get access to all your work. That's essentially how you get paid for your writing. Awesome. Cool. I see we have a ton of stuff in the Q&A section as well. As I said, keep on dropping your questions in there, and we will make sure that we tackle as many of them at the very end of the session. I just see the final, or the first or last question in the queue I see from Ellen is, can I publish the same content from another website and or social media to Substack, or should I change the content, making it different wording? You can literally republish what you have on other sites. And that's also how we started our publication. I've written on other sites before I've been on Substack, so I had a lot of content, and the same one was true for my co-founder Yari. So what we did is we started by republishing a lot of our content. That gave us more time to actually explore the platform, because we didn't have to constantly create something new. Now, most of our stuff on Substack is first published on Substack, but we didn't do it that way in the beginning. Awesome. Then let's move on to our second point of the session. Now, let's look at why the people who grow really rapidly on Substack get started before they might feel completely ready, and what that might mean for you. So you might be thinking you don't know if your knowledge is worth sharing. You might be worried about what if people don't listen to me, what if I'm not expert enough, especially because I've shown you these big names at the beginning of the session, right? These have all been people who have massive audiences. You might be wondering, okay, but do people want to read what I have to say? And I'll tell you, I started writing online when I was 20 years old, when I was a college student. So I was very much, worried about these things. So I know exactly where those thoughts are coming from and what it takes to basically overcome them. And the truth is that most of the time it's just imposter syndrome sabotaging ourselves, because the lie that we're all being told, or that we're all believing, is that you need to be the ultimate expert and have a degree in writing for people to pay attention to your work. And the truth is that readers and consumers are desperately looking for imperfect but relatable voices who actually care about helping them. And that's particularly true in the educational field, because there is so much garbage out there, and because so many people are not relatable, because they are focused entirely on growth rather than actually being in touch with their audience. And I have a personal story very much about my own content consumption here. I have recently signed up for my first marathon, which I need to run in about 100 days. And on this running journey, I have looked for a lot of creators to inspire me, to educate me, because I want to see that kind of content in my own feeds across different platforms. I've seen a lot of really amazing stuff on Substack, but I've picked 2 non-Substack examples for this particular case here. So these are two profiles on Instagram that I came across, and I want to show you the difference. So here is a runner who is doing running content, and she's basically claiming in her profile, in her tagline, she's a slow runner and a big eater. She even calls herself a wannabe runner. I relate to the content she is creating because I'm a slow runner, because this is my first major marathon race, which is huge for me. And, if I get to the finish line, I basically have achieved my goal. I don't have any pace goals because I'm a slow runner again. And there's this other woman who is a more professional runner. She has her paces in her profile. She's running a marathon in under 3 hours. It's probably going to take me over 5 hours. So even though this person is a pro, she's an expert, she obviously knows what she's doing. She's a sports scientist and nutritionist. She's a very fast runner, so she clearly knows what she's doing as a runner, right? But she's not relatable to me. I don't feel like I can learn a lot from her, because the type of content she's creating is not for me. It doesn't resonate for me, even though it's running content, even though it's a female creator, even though she's clearly an expert and knows what she's talking about. And the same is true for any other type of content that we might come across. We need creators who are not just experts and who don't just know what they're talking about, but we need creators who can help us take the very next step. Maybe in 5 years, I become a faster runner, and then I want to learn how to do a sub 3 hour marathon. Then I might go to that expert creator. But right now in my stage, I don't want to learn from these people who are fast runners and who have, training plans and recovery plans and nutrition plans that just don't fit my personal goals. I want someone who is a couple steps ahead of me, who has maybe done her first marathon last year and who is sharing her experiences. That's the kind of stuff that I look on Substack, or that I look up on YouTube, for example. And the same is true for any other topic as well. And I started my own journey imperfectly. I'm not a native English speaker. I had no professional education or experience in writing when I started to write. And I had no support system. I didn't have any people who were already publishing online who could tell me what works, what doesn't work. I was pretty much on my own. I had a full-time job. I had my studies going on, and I was writing in the middle of the night or very, very early in the mornings, because that's the only way I could make time for my content. And the top 1% that I'm seeing on Substack are really not focused on being ultimate gurus or on polishing what their websites look like. They're focused on genuinely helping someone, and that someone usually turns into many, many more people. They're focused on building trust, and they're focused on guiding their readers one step at a time. And if you look at it from the perspective of, the internet being flooded with AI created content, this makes a lot of sense, right? Because if I can go to AI for help, the only reason I'm going to connect with a creator and actually subscribe and pay for their advice is because I feel like that creator is able to help me more, because I trust them and because they are guiding me through a meaningful process instead of just throwing random answers at my face. And the truth is that at Write Build Scale, we didn't grow because of flawless writing, perfect execution, or groundbreaking ideas. We literally grew by showing up consistently, and because we know exactly who we can help through our work. And we really just do our best to show up for these people. And this reflects not just in our clients, but also in our paid subscribers on Substack. I took these screenshots just this morning. When you have a paid tier on Substack, Substack automatically asks your newest subscribers why they have subscribed and if they want to basically leave a little review. And every time I look at these reviews, I'm so delighted, and it just I feel so much lighter because I see those beautiful messages of people saying that they find value in our work. And sometimes you just forget about the positive voices, especially if you face some trolls or some negative comments. And then it's just such a delight to go back to your audience, to look at the people you are serving and to get their feedback, because they will be telling you that they love what you're doing. And one way you create content that people will truly love, and that I believe is the key to building a meaningful Substack publication, is to look at your writing and your content as a bridge. When your reader comes across your work, your reader is at a certain point on a bridge and they are at point A. That's what they're struggling with. If you are an educator, if you want to share something that you have learned on your own life, maybe you're a coach, a consultant, maybe you have faced certain personal struggles in your life and you want to help others overcome those struggles more easily and more clarity, with more confidence, then there's this point A on the bridge where your reader is currently starting out. Your content and whatever you're doing on whatever platform that you're on, it wants to take the reader to point B. Point B is their dream outcome, right? So if in my case, for example, if you look at me, my current point is I signed up for that marathon. My point B is I want to actually finish running the marathon. That's my dream outcome, right? Now, each piece of content you write and you publish is one step. You don't need to build the entire bridge at once. You just need to lay down one plank at a time. And that's how you transform people's lives without being a guru or without having the perfect solution or the perfect method for everyone. Because you focus on guiding one person from A to B, and you do it one step at a time. And that's how you build a really meaningful body of work. And Substack is a really great way to do that, because you are not just publishing piece after piece, but you are actually building a publication and a library that people can access at any given time. So if you've been wondering, am I expert enough? Does my knowledge even matter? The question is very easy to answer. Yes, you are knowledgeable enough if you care enough. If you don't care, if all you want is, the big numbers, the followers, the money, then you're probably going to have a very hard time on Substack, because standing out is going to be hard. People look for the connections on Substack right now. And especially if you're asking someone to pay, they need to trust you and they need to feel like their investment in your work is really worth it. Now, again, the world doesn't need more self-proclaimed experts who think highly of themselves. We've had enough of those on Instagram. We have enough of them on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on all those platforms that are already saturated and huge. What we need instead is creators who genuinely care about their message and their audience. That's the only way you can stand out right now. So if this is encouraging to you, if this resonates with you, just drop a message in the chat saying I can do this, and share with us that you are excited to actually take action on it, because I know this doesn't resonate with everyone, right? There are people who don't want to have those connections with their readers or with their audience. There are people who just really want to make a quick buck and be gone and move on to the next opportunity as quickly as possible. Okay, but it seems like we have done a good job promoting this session to the right people, because I see a lot of people saying I can do this. I saw Tom before saying not sure. If you're not sure, you will get sure when when you just get the confidence. So that's okay. Being a little insecure is not going to hold you back if you just take baby steps, which is usually the secret sauce to everything, right? You don't have to take big leaps. You can take one small step at a time and build your confidence that way. Awesome. Brilliant. Let me quickly scroll through the Q&A to see if we have anything that was related to any of the slides that I just scrolled through. Tammy just said, should you expect Substack to be like YouTube to get zero engagement at all for a while? Is there things that you can do wrong? Honestly, the biggest thing you can do wrong on Substack is creating in isolation. If you just publish, especially if you just publish long form posts and you do nothing else, you are not going to be visible. You need to treat Substack like a social platform. And I know a lot of people, don't want to hear this, don't want to look at Substack as a social media network. And of course, it's very different from typical social media, but there is a huge social element. That's the community. That's the creators you can collaborate with, that you can grow together with. And I'll talk about all of this in a minute, but the biggest mistake you can make is just posting and doing nothing else and not interacting and just being in your isolated space. If you do that, yes, you're going to have a pretty hard time growing, and it's going to be similar like to posting on a YouTube channel, nobody knowing you and not even being able to benefit from discovery. But that's actually a great bridge to our next point, because that's our secret number 3, which is why you don't want to do it alone and why you do want to have that social component to grow intentionally, but also grow a lot faster. Because you might be thinking that you'll just experiment, you'll post a few notes, you'll post a few articles, and you'll just figure it out by yourself. But as Tammy had asked in the chat, that is pretty much the worst thing you can do. Because if you post in isolation, how would people come across your work, right? It's not going to happen. You need to get your work in front of the right people, as we said with the magnet. Otherwise, you have the magnet, but it's somewhere where there's nothing that it can pull. There's no metal around. So you really don't want to make this mistake that most writers do. It's wasting months on trial and error just to realize that they've been doing the wrong things all alone. And this happens when you do things in isolation and you don't get any feedback, because the biggest lie for creators is just be consistent. Everybody tells you to be consistent. So as a result, what most beginners think is that if I'm consistent, everything will just work out fine, right? But consistency only works if you are consistently improving. Because imagine the following: you are brand new to writing online or to creating content. You have no idea what you're doing, but you're just publishing consistently for 100 days. But you're doing everything wrong. You can keep showing up for 500 more days and nothing will happen, nothing will click, nobody will see your work, because you are only showing up. And showing up is one important part of the game, but it's by far not the entire game. And Substack isn't just growing rapidly right now, it's also changing rapidly. You need feedback, you need clear guidance, and you need a support system that has your back if you want to grow reliably on the platform. And doing it all alone is really just a slow lane. It's just going to make it so much harder, because on Substack, you grow fastest through collaborations, support, and recommendations. And here's what this looks like. In our specific case, we gained over 8,000 subscribers to Write, Build, Scale through recommendations from other creators. And I'm actually sure that we have a lot of people in this room right now who came across this masterclass through some of our collaboration partners and our affiliate partners and people that we're regularly working with. This is a massive number. If you look at our publication sites, we have roughly over 30,000 subscribers now. Imagine 8,000 of them coming to us because another creator has recommended us. That's massive. And a lot of creators are not even using this feature. Another way we are using collaborations is through our podcast. And there are really a dozen different ways to leverage collaborations on Substack. This is one way that we found a lot of joy and success in. If you look at our podcast, you will see that almost every episode is actually with a guest or with one of our clients or with one of our collaboration partners. This is a beautiful way for us to cross-promote and to make sure that our audience is also learning from other voices. We are hosting live streams all the time. Maybe you've joined us on some of the sessions that we've had this week. Yari has been live a couple of times. Maybe you are here because of our partner, David McElroy. Let us know in the chat if David has sent you our way. These are just some of those features, and I'm just going over them really quickly because there's so much more to share and to learn about them. But if you look at our publication, you'll see that nothing we create is really in isolation. We even do those postings regularly where we feature a bunch of other people in our space. So here, for example, this has been an article where we shared the answers of 12 different creators that we are regularly working with, collaborating with. And you probably know some of these faces as well. And the worst way to look at growth online and on social media as well is thinking that everybody else is your enemy and you have to fight them. The easiest way to grow is to grow together and to look at your quote unquote competition as your biggest collaboration partner. And this is something that we really wholeheartedly believe in and teach. And it's also a reflection of what we do, which leads to our clients doing it as well. And we have just one simple example here, Sue and Ilham, two of our clients being on a live stream together. And if you check out any of their profiles on Substack, you'll see that they are growing through collaborations and connections as well. They are doing live streams. They are inviting guests. They are inviting people who can add value to their audience. And that way they are getting in front of other people's audiences as well, which is just a beautiful win-win situation for everyone. And Substack really is the perfect hub for collaboration, connection, and mutual growth. And if you look at it that way, it's just so much easier to get your work in front of the right people, especially if you're starting at zero. If you already have a couple thousand subscribers on Substack, reaching more is easy because you already have that track record, right? But if you are brand new and you're coming, even if you're coming from a different platform, it's so much easier to find your first few hundred subscribers by just connecting with people who have been on the platform for a while and getting in front of their audiences. All right, let me quickly check the chat. I see people saying, watched Yari's live yesterday, got an invite from David. Shell said, Philip's chat thread for me. Awesome. Let me quickly check the Q&A again to see if we have any new questions right now. I see Christy saying, what are Substack standards around profiles being real people and not bots? That's really interesting because this is a major issue on most platforms right now. They are trying to prevent bots and they have quite strict rules to automatically ban any profiles that show behavior that might indicate that it's actually not a real person, but a bot. And what happens is that sometimes the wrong profiles of actual people can get banned too. I've seen that happen to a few people lately because the rules are strict, because they're basically trying to make sure that the platform is not getting flooded with spam and bots. Sometimes it just catches the wrong profiles as well. If that ever happens to you, you can reach out to the support team and your profile will, of course, instantly be reinstated because it will be very easy to clarify that was wrong. But right now, we are relatively bot-free on Substack. Let's hope that it will stay that way in the long run. All right. Let me hear again in the chat if you're excited about growing your Substack publication. Maybe you joined the session not knowing if this is the right thing for you or not. Maybe you were wondering where to start. Maybe you were wondering if the culture, the energy, the vibes on the platform are a match for you, or you haven't been sure about what the key benefits of the platform are. So let me know if this actually changed your mind, if you feel excited about taking action, and if you just want to at least give it a shot and see how you can connect on the platform. Awesome. I see a very positive response in the chat. So that's already a win for the day. If I got some of you excited about actually taking action, that's already amazing and beautiful. Now, we're almost an hour into the session, so let's continue so we can go into the Q&A session as soon as possible. Now, I want you to envision something. Take a deep breath and imagine how it will feel when you actually build an audience that genuinely cares about your work. This is really important because when you create with intention and when you care about your message, growth isn't just about the numbers. It's not just about having a random number of subscribers on your profile or publication. It's about knowing that your work makes a difference and reaching people who genuinely want to hear from you in their email inbox. Also imagine how it will feel like when you actually get paid to do what you love. Like, one of my personal mantras is I genuinely believe the world would be a better place if more people could make a living by doing what they like. I think this is really underrated because we spend so much time in our lives working and just going to a job and doing work. So if we would be able to do what we love, more people would actually have much better lives in general. And then the third thing I want you to envision is you're building a lasting foundation for your creator business. No matter if you want to write a book, if you want to speak on stages, or if you never want to show your face and literally just, take your laptop with you, go on a world trip, sit in Bali and sip your cocktails while you are just writing your stuff on Substack. Imagine what it feels like to build a foundation where you know that nobody can take it away from you, because you're not just building a following, you're building an actual email list, which is the foundation for everything that you might want to do in the next years and decades. Now, if you're still with us at this point, I believe that you are ready to step up and leverage Substack's growth opportunities. I'm sure that you're excited to make use of at least some of the features and opportunities that we've talked about today to build your own audience and your business. And at this stage, you basically have two options. You can rely on trial and error and just, give it a shot, see how far you come, or you can rely on proven systems. And over the past hour, you have seen what it takes to take advantage of Substack right now, to take advantage of the massive growth that is happening. And you've probably seen a lot of the hype on other places so far right now, because there's a reason you signed up for the session in the first place, right? And if you're anything like what I believe most people on this session are, you probably want the shortcut. You don't want to waste months or even a year or two, because by then the platform will have evolved and the rules will have shifted again. You don't want to waste your time and energy dabbling around and not knowing whether it's actually going to be worth it and whether you're on the right path or not. But here's the truth. Knowing what to do, knowing what you should be doing, and actually doing it and having the exact frameworks, templates, and systems, those are two entirely different things. And that's why we have built something for you. Over the past year, Philip, Yari, and we have worked with hundreds of creators on Substack. We've helped them grow their publications, become bestsellers, build large audiences, get paid for their work. And we took everything from those conversations, from the success stories, and from the way we have built our own publication, and we've turned it into templates and into a shortcut that will basically save you months or years of trial and error. We've turned it into a step-by-step system, and we've created Substack System. Substack System is your shortcut. And over the next few minutes, I will give you a brief introduction of what it contains, what it means, for who we've created this, and how you can get access to it. Substack System really just is your unfair advantage to growing on Substack, because it's the combination of all those things that we have learned and experimented and created over the past 18 months. And here's what you'll get when you join us. We've created the Substack System video course, which is giving you access to all the knowledge that you need in order to start, build, grow, and monetize your publication. We have 4 main chapters in this course that are taking you through every step of the way. We are starting with Substack Notes so that you learn how to spark conversations and drive engagement. This is your major traffic driver on Substack. Showing up on Notes is the easiest way to drive visibility. Then we build your publication so that you can attract and convert readers through a smart publishing system without burning out, without having to write long-form content all the time, but by leveraging the smart opportunity that is out there right now. We help you leverage collaborations so that you can find and connect with the right creators to grow faster together. And we help you actually monetize on the platform so that you can turn free readers into paying clients. But that's only the tip of the iceberg, because we've prepared a lot more for you. When you join Substack system right now, you're getting access to live group coaching sessions with us every single week. In these sessions, we give you direct feedback so that you can stay consistent, you stay motivated, and you also connect with like-minded writers who might become your collaboration partners. Our second bonus that we've prepared for you is the Substack bestseller case study. This is a step-by-step detailed breakdown of how we have built a best-selling publication with over 100 paid subscribers in our first 60 days on the platform. And with these resources alone, you could achieve what some of our clients have recently achieved. Diana, for example, has reached the first bestseller batch just a few days ago with 100 paid subscribers. She launched paid subscriptions at the end of October, and she wrote here that she wished she had done it sooner, but she was scared to actually get started. Or Janice here, who has received her first 300 subscribers. Or we have Raquel here, who has recently celebrated her first paid subscriber on Substack. She's a French writer, by the way. So if you're wondering about whether you can write in other languages, a lot of our students are actually doing that. And she has been using our templates to write for her French audience. But that's not all. You're getting a lot more, because you're also getting our Substack expert interview series. This is a series of interviews that we've conducted with over 10 top Substackers, talking about growth, writing, monetization, storytelling, and many other subjects, so that we can bring their expertise closer to you. And we are regularly hosting live workshops with our collaboration partners inside our community as well. You're also getting access to the Substack operations system. This is a personalized toolbox of plug and play frameworks and templates for every step of your Substack journey. So this is an entire Notion dashboard that you're getting access to, that you can basically copy and use on your own alongside the course. And you also get access to 3 months inside our support and accountability community, so that we can support you, we can give you feedback, and you can also connect with other members inside the program. Now, we've had members in this community like Jordan, for example, who has almost tripled his revenue through the publication and even started to sell digital products after building his publication on Substack. And he said Substack system basically paid for itself in less than 2 months. He has over 7,000 subscribers on Substack now, and has built a mini course and has been getting paid even during his vacation with his family. We have members like Stellar here, who, in my opinion, has built one of the most beautiful profile pages. She said that Substack system is about implementation. It's structured, supportive, and rich in value. This is what her profile on Substack looks like. It's called Becoming Together. But we're still not done. We've prepared even more for you. We have teamed up with RightStack to ensure that you get access to your Substack AI Growth Companion, so that you can discover top performing nodes, generate AI powered node ideas, and schedule your nodes days, weeks, or months in advance. This is just making it very, very easy for you to get started and stay consistent. Now, let's sum it up real quick. You're getting the Substack system video course. You're getting our weekly group coaching sessions, the Substack bestseller case study, our expert interview series, the entire operation system as your Notion dashboard. You're getting access to our support and accountability community, where we are basically holding your hand and answering every single question that you have. And you get a Substack AI Growth Companion that you can use. And you can join us right now. We're opening the doors for only $497. I see a lot of activity and questions in the chat, which we will tackle in just a few moments. Let me just make sure that we are all set up correctly. We have 2 options for you right now if you want to join us. You can join us in a single payment plan for $497 right now, or you can choose our payment plan option for $197 over 3 months. Let me quickly check what else we have here. Olivia just asked, is the Notion guide a different one than the one that's free? I'm sure you're referring to our Substack starter kit. The operation system inside Substack system is basically take the starter kit, put it on massive steroids. You have everything in there. So it's basically the starter kit X 5000. You basically have a ton of templates for every single page that you could create on your publication. You have templates for your postings, for collaborations. We'll literally give you templates to reach out to collaboration partners, to schedule live sessions, to do guest posts together, and much, much more. So the starter kit is a tiny fraction of what you're getting inside the Substack operation system. Now, I've told you before that we are huge fans of collaboration ourselves. And when we've built this course, we have not built it in isolation. We have talked to so many amazing writers on the platform. And again, you're probably here thanks to Jana. Maybe you're familiar with Derek's work. Maybe you are here because David has sent you our way. Either way, these are all amazing voices on the platform that we made sure are basically on the same track with us. And we've been able to work with them. We've been able to collaborate for so many months now. And it's just a beautiful feeling knowing that other people are following similar structures and processes, and knowing that our systems don't just work for us, but also for so many other creators. And if you're wondering whether this is for you or not, here's a quick overview. We have created Substack system for new writers who want to start the right way without wasting any time. But it's also for writers and creators who just want to grow faster. So if you've been publishing for a while, this is really just your way to ensure that you don't waste your time anymore. It's for authors, coaches, and founders who are looking for a new way to grow their audience. Maybe you have an audience on other platforms, but growth has been slow lately and you're just looking for another alternative. It's for experts who want to monetize their knowledge and their expertise. And we've had clients inside this program from so many different backgrounds and writing and creating about so many different topics. We have people writing about personal development, about technology, about finance, business, health and wellness, about marketing, sports, culture, society, history. And I want to show you just a few of them so you get a feeling and an understanding of how this can all be applied to different publications. And I want you to imagine that you could be part of a thriving community like this, full of writers and creators who want to see you win. Now, I've shown you Diana just a couple minutes ago, who joined us back in October. And by mid-January, just last week, actually, she has reached her first 100 paid subscribers. And again, what she said was that she wishes she had actually turned on paid subscribers sooner, because when you put out good stuff that people genuinely find helpful, your audience is willing to pay for it. You just have to know how to reach them and how to create content and resources that are worth paying for. And this is Diana's publication now with the bestseller status. It's called Healthy Seniors. She now has over 8,000 subscribers, is rising in the health and wellness category. And her publication is a guide to living vibrant, independent lives. Now, I have more examples for you. This is a message we received from Dora just last week, I think. She said, I'm a student of yours, bought Substack system last month, and my first ever note 7 days ago got almost 900 likes. By now, it has actually crossed 1,000 likes. And this is Dora's profile. She has an audience on other platforms, but you can see here, she has a very clear positioning on her publication. Her goal is to help you succeed in your new executive role. And she already has over 300 subscribers on her publication. Another example that we're really excited about is Benjamin. We have recently published a podcast episode with Benjamin, who has also hit the bestseller status and is part of one of our VIP programs. Benjamin's publication, Digital Citizen, has crossed over 2,000 subscribers, is now a bestseller, and he's a global mobility expert. He's showing how to retire abroad, one step at a time. So you can see there's a massive diversity in the publications and creators who can use Substack system and really leverage it for their own growth. And you essentially have two options now. You can either do nothing, keep guessing what to do, what to focus on, and what actually moves the needle. You can post inconsistently, second guess your decisions, rely on trial and error. And in a year from now, you're probably going to be in the exact same place, just a little more tired and frustrated. Your second option is to follow a clear step-by-step roadmap, build your Substack with proven systems, not guesses, get feedback, get answers when you're stuck, learn alongside creators who are moving forward with you. Instead of hoping that things work out, you are clear about what to do next. Now, to top it all off, we're giving you a 30-day money-back guarantee. We know that our system works. We know that you'll find immense value in Substack system. But if you complete the program, apply what you learn, and find that your investment was not worth it, you can apply for a full refund. That's how confident we are in what we teach, even though we are live with you on the calls to help you every step of the way. And I have one final thing I want to share before we move into the Q&A section. This is a bonus for everyone who just joined us or who is joining us in the next couple of minutes. We have a limited bonus for everyone who is with us on the live call right now. If you join Substack system before this session is over, you will additionally get a free coaching call where we help you set up your publication for success. You get one-on-one feedback on your work, and we help you implement personalized growth strategies. Now, we had so many people on these calls last time that we really thought about whether we want to do it again, but we said we're going to do it one more time. This is probably the last time that we're able to offer this limited time bonus as a private coaching session. So this is your chance to make sure that you're really set up for success. If you join us before the end of the session, you are going to be able to claim your private one-on-one session to be sure that you're really making the very most out of our resources and out of Substack. You have two options to join us now. And I see we have a lot of burning questions in the Q&A. So I am actually ready to welcome Jari into the session now, so we can dive straight into the Q&A. Let me see what we already have here. All right, let's see. What have we been discussing before that? Just scrolling back to some of the initial questions. So we have some questions from before. I see San2 asked, can we post our guest speaking podcasts on Substack instead of YouTube? Big yes to that. You can post your podcasts to Substack. You can also post them to Substack and YouTube. That's what we are doing as well. If you already have a podcast, if you don't have a podcast yet, you can start it from scratch on Substack as well. Hi, Jari.
Hey, Zidam, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm all good.
Behind the scenes?
It was amazing to see the number of questions we got in the chat. So I believe we have a very big Q&A in front of us, which I'm really looking forward to.
I had to scroll all the way up, but I'm excited to dive in. I see that we already have a bunch of people who have joined us who claimed their private coaching session. I see, just to welcome them real quick, I see Joseph, Tabby, Sarah, Angelica, Tristan, George, Bill, Anthony, Mark, Lucas, Frank, Candice, Sebastian, James, Shannon. Hello and welcome. If you're still with us on the session, welcome to Substack System. We are excited to have you here. Yes. Jen said, how do we claim the coaching call? It's offered on the page for $200. If you join us right now, you are getting an email tomorrow to book your call. So you don't add it to your card at the purchase. That's just for everyone who joins us after the call. If you join Substack System right now, you're going to get an email tomorrow to directly book your coaching call.
I see we have a few more questions on that from Ketia and Jennifer as well. Do we get the free coaching? Do we need to do anything to claim our free coaching session? No, you don't have to. Like, for as long as the timer is still running, when you join Substack System, you will get your private coaching call. And probably tomorrow, but I would say within 48 hours, we will send you an email with the exact information on how you can actually schedule your private coaching call. So you don't have to do anything for it other than the fact that it's only available for everyone who joins while the timer is still running.
Yeah, awesome. Jari, you've probably seen hundreds of questions over the last hour, 1.5. What stood out to you? Are there any topics that you want to address first?
Yeah, we had one question from Manisha about Substack system, when the live calls actually are. So I'm assuming Manisha means the group coaching sessions that you get access to for 3 months. We host 2 of those group coaching calls per week, actually. So we usually do that on Tuesday and on Thursday, and we alternate between different times. So no matter which time zone you are living in, you will be able to catch at least one of those sessions live every week, but we also upload the replay of those group coaching sessions to our community. So if you cannot attend live, you will actually get the replay as well. You can always also pre-submit your questions actually to these group coaching sessions, that even if you aren't able to attend live, we will still be able to answer your question and you can catch it on the replay. So that's a question I saw a few times over the past few minutes.
Cool. I see another interesting question from George saying, can I have multiple prices for multiple tiers of information on Substack? That's a really good one. Right now, you can have 2 tiers. So you have a standard paid tier, and then you can have what most people do is like a VIP tier. That's called the founding member tier on default. So you can have 2 different paid tier options as of now. If you were to offer something more, or if you need more payment options for what you're doing on Substack, you can do that on different platforms. You can do it on a platform like Gumroad. You can do payments through Teachable. Those are 2 platforms that we are personally using. But if it's, if those 2 tiers are enough, you can do it entirely on Substack in the beginning.
One other question we received, and Melanie actually asked this question: how long to get through a Substack system when you have around 10 hours per week? Because Melanie says, I'm still working as well. Well, we have designed the program in a way that, because most of our clients, most of our community members are working, they have either a part-time job or a full-time job, and they're doing this on the side as well. So we designed the program in a way that you can follow it at your own pace. But if you have 10 hours a week available, that's amazing, because that will give you enough time to go through the program, but also take action on the material, right? And implement some of the strategies that we suggest in the program. So that's definitely a good amount of time. Yes.
Plenty of time, yeah. I want to take a quick minute to say welcome to our newest members. I see registrations rolling in. Just a quick welcome from our side to Tim, Andrea, Kitia, Jen. I see so many other names here: Edris, Matteo, Eric, Shannon. Welcome, everyone. Hello and welcome. Make sure you check your confirmation messages once you are logged in. There's a quick separate registration process for our private community, which is hosted on Circle. You can do that easily in 1 or 2 minutes. And once you're in there, we're really looking forward to seeing your introductions and meeting you in some of the upcoming sessions, which are in just a few days.
One thing I would like to clarify is we see this question quite in the chat. So the access to Substack system, that's lifetime access, right? So for $4.97, you have lifetime access to the course, to the operating system, to the expert interviews. It is purely the group coaching and community access that is for 3 months as a bonus, but you can always decide, if you enjoy it after those 3 months have ended, to extend and to stay part of our community. But Substack system itself is lifetime access. Just wanted to clarify that.
And maybe just to point that out, the reason it is structured that way is because if you are part of the community, we are basically giving you any kind of support and feedback that you're looking for. So if you have a question on your paid tier, if you have a question on your content, you can always join our coaching sessions, and we are able to guarantee that you're going to get the answers you need. And that's why we need to make sure that the community doesn't get too big, because obviously we can only serve a certain number of people. So whenever we do open it for enrollment, we know that we can guarantee to give you the best possible support. And after the 3 months, if you realize that you want to take the next step, maybe you want to build on top of your publication, or you have the next goal that you want to achieve, that's perfectly fine. You can stay enrolled. But that way we can ensure that we actually give you all the support you request inside the private community.
I see a question from Paul. Paul says, I am choosing for the 3-month payment plan, but it shows the one-on-one call as a separate charge. Yeah, so Paul, so what you're seeing on the checkout page is probably the extra option to book another coaching call. You don't have to choose that. You can if you want 2 coaching calls, of course, but you don't have to do that. When you join the payment plan, you will also get an email probably tomorrow with a booking link where you can actually schedule your coaching call free of charge. So you don't have to do anything for that other than join us before the timer goes to 0.
I see a really interesting question in the chat from Rachel, which I think a lot of people are wondering about. And this is one of my favorite things to discuss in the community as well. We had a few huge postings about that lately. So Rachel said, how do you know what content to put behind a paywall and what not? Now, Rachel, in very simple terms, what you can envision is you put if it's educational content, you put the why and the what in your free tier, and everything that is tactical, that is implementation, that is the exact how, goes behind your paywall. Not every single bit of it, but the majority of it. Now, this is kind of the, high level overview of how to think about that. And the reason I said I love this conversation or this question is because every publication is different, right? Every creator is different, has different ideas, has different resources that they create. And this is really a fun question to work through inside the community, because we can brainstorm together and we can make sure that you have a content strategy that really makes sense, because there are a lot of things to keep in mind when you're putting content behind the paywall. And the biggest mistake people make when it comes to their paywall on Substack is they feel like locking their best stuff. But think about it this way: when your best content is behind the paywall, it means that your free subscribers are not getting the best things. So they don't have a very great expectation of what would happen when they upgrade. So you want this balance between having really good free content, but having something even better behind the paywall. I know this sounds abstract, but again, it depends on the exact content you're creating, and there's just so much room to create and be creative here when it comes to your paid tier.
I see we have a question from Karen. Karen asks, can you start the group calls later in the year as well? So if the next 3 months are not convenient for me, can I actually join later the community and group coaching calls later in the year as well? Yes, you absolutely can, Karen. That is definitely an option. We usually recommend to join straight away, simply because we have a lot of new people joining us at this moment, right? So you have this wave of excitement with a lot of new members starting at the same time and being on the same mission, basically. But if it's simply not convenient for you timing wise, you can always decide to join the group coaching sessions in the community to activate that bonus a few months from now, if that suits you better.
Yeah. I have a quick question in the chat from Kay saying, why did you choose to use Webinar Jam for this versus hosting it on Substack Live? Because this is an uninterrupted space, because Substack Live is for more casual sessions and for sharing very specific bits and pieces of knowledge. That's the way we look at it, but we don't host these big trainings all the time. So when we do them, we want to make sure that there is actually a safe space for everyone to join, and Substack's live sessions are more casual. And we also want to ensure that there's a registration process, which we don't have the option to do on Substack Lives. But again, if you're subscribed to our publication, just take a look at some of the live streams we're hosting there, and you will get a very good feeling for what we do there versus what we've done here.
One other question we received quite a lot, Guillermo was one of them to post, how often must I publish on Substack? What about 4 times per week? Well, the good thing about Substack is that you can publish different types of content, right? So what we usually recommend is at least 1 long form post per week. This is kind of like your newsletter. That's usually a very good schedule to follow. But Substack also has notes, which are this short form content, right? Short form writing. And with a note, we actually recommend like one a day. If you can do more, that's amazing, but one a day is already really good. And this could be anything from a short insight, a short quote, something from your personal life, something you just learned. So that way you don't have to feel like you're constantly like crushing out content. We say one long form per week and then one note per day. That's a very good schedule to already follow on Substack.
Yeah. Perfect. I see a lot of new names on the program already as well. I see Lauren, Amy, Lewis. Welcome inside Substack system. I see Jennifer, Emma, Paul, Tim, Helene, Karen, Anshu, Lorna. Hello and welcome inside Substack system. I also see that a bunch of people have already joined us inside the link community as well, which is wonderful. I see Manisha just joined us as well. Hello and welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you. And as I said, we're hosting the first coaching sessions in just a couple of days for you. So you'll hopefully, you'll be able to introduce yourself by then, come into the community, say hi. I see Leah just joined us as well. So welcome to everyone. Let's see. I have another question here in front of me from Ray saying, I'm finding a hard time selecting a topic that would resonate, and that is where I'm struggling. Where do I start? Now, the beautiful thing is if you don't have a specific business goal, you can use Substack as your testing ground. You can, what Yari just described before, for example, you can use Substack notes to just publish a variety of thoughts, stories, different things that you want to share. And when you do that, you will realize that you prefer to write about some things versus other things. That's one signal that you're looking for. And then, of course, we have a bunch of resources inside the program that will help you basically make that decision, because choosing a topic and then further narrowing it down to having a very clear publication promise for your audience, that's two separate things as well. And we help you with that inside Substack system. And the majority of the work that we do there, especially with our clients who join us without having that specific topic in mind yet, that really happens inside the community and in the coaching sessions.
I see a question from Sandy. Sandy asks, does the Substack system include help with mini course development and marketing of it? So Substack system, the course itself, won't cover how to build and sell mini courses. However, that is also why we have that 3-month of group coaching component to it, because on those group coaching calls, you can ask me, you can ask Sinem, you can ask Philip, any questions you have about building digital products, about selling coaching offers, about using Substack to really grow your business, right? Because that's something we have been doing for years ourselves. So the questions don't have to be about Substack itself. You can also ask questions about growing your online business, building your brand, creating mini courses during those group coaching sessions.
Yeah, wonderful. I see a bunch of new enrollments as well. I'm actually not seeing all the names here. I see Sarah as the last one. And I see a lot of other enrollments happened before as well. So hello and welcome to all of you who just enrolled. Just to confirm, let me just quickly check. The timer is on 5 minutes. I think we will stay on a bit longer. We still have a lot in the Q&A section that we want to cover, but still, if you join us now, if you join Substack system now, you will be able to book your private coaching call on top of all the bonuses that we have prepared for you. So make sure to make use of that, especially if this sounds like a fit and you want to join us anyway. Make sure to grab the one-on-one call before it's too late. This is always an amazing way for us to learn more about you, because when we know what your goals are, what your focus is, we're also able to better help you inside the community and in the group coaching sessions. It's just an additional, factor that makes it very easy for us to support you over the next few months.
We have a question in the chat from Dido saying, would be an issue if your notes are getting good engagement, but those are not turning into subscribers? That's a really good question, Dido, because notes don't always directly have to lead to new subscribers. Just the fact that you post notes per day, every day, for example, or multiple times per week, means you now have more touch points with either your existing subscribers or people who might have been just reading your notes for a few days, and they might need a few days of warming up before they hit that subscribe button. So that constant exposure on the notes feed will eventually lead to more subscribers. It might not always just be directly measurable.
Mhm. I'll pick a question just because I think it's fun. Jeff said, Sinem, do you consider yourself an expert by this time now, or still a beginner as a writer, or perhaps an expert beginner who always must keep learning? I definitely consider myself an expert by now on what I'm doing, because I've been doing it nonstop for 8 years. And if you do something for 8 years, you get pretty dang good at it, especially if you can keep doing it for a living, right? And I think it's also just the fact that I've worked with so many different creators and writers by now. I've had so many one-on-one clients that I've guided back when I was, writing extensively on Medium. I've been an editor for one of Medium's, or I am an editor for one of Medium's biggest publications. We are doing this kind of work on Substack now for the past 2 years. But what I think is really interesting in this job and in this field that we're in is you have to keep learning. And I think that's why the community we have built around Write, Build, Scale makes so much sense, because things are changing so rapidly, right? And I'm pretty sure that Substack, the way we use the platform right now, it's not going to be that way in 6 months or 12 months. It's constantly changing, constantly evolving. And that's why we constantly keep updating our resources, and why we don't just, sell you a course that you can complete on your own, but that we want to be by your side as you do it, because there are so many changes and so much happening, not just on Substack, but everywhere else. Look at AI, how quickly things have shifted. And also, maybe to add, when you join Substack system, you get lifetime access to all our updates. We have just updated 3 videos inside the course this morning. And as Substack is evolving, so are our resources. And I think it would be a complete lie to call yourself an expert if you are not also learning and evolving in your own area of expertise.
I see we have a few questions about the freebie for the masterclass, and Philip has also responded in the chat. So yes, everyone who was looking for the playbook, the 2026 Substack playbook, you will receive that in your email inbox as well. Just wanted to clarify that.
Laurie said, how do you get recommendations? Lots of question marks. You get recommendations by actually connecting with people and proving that you have something valuable to deliver to their audience. People will only recommend you if they trust you, if they can trust that their subscribers will like your work, and that they will get something in return. It's always, it's not a one-way street. It needs to be a win-win situation for your partners. And I know this can be incredibly hard if you are an introvert, if you struggle to make connections, if you are brand new to publishing online. That's why we have all those templates and the workflows ready for you inside the Substack operation system. As I said before, it's like the starter kit on steroids, because we literally have message templates that you can tweak and use in order to connect with creators in your space, so that you can get recommendations, but also build different types of collaborations that will help you further improve your content and grow your audience.
I see a question in the chat from Guillermo, and this was a common question actually. When you speak both English and Spanish, for example, or English and French, is it good to write in 2 languages? You can definitely do this on Substack. For example, one of our friends, Veronica, is writing in both English and in Spanish on the platform. I would just always recommend starting with one first. Whether that is in English or whether that is in Spanish, that is completely fine, but starting with one first, because if you start 2 publications at the same time, that's twice the work, twice the settings, the managing, the administration, right? But first building up one, and then you could potentially expand into another language if you want, or expand into another topic if you would want. Usually what you'll find is just if one publication is succeeding, that is actually enough to sustain you already. But I would always recommend start with one first, and then you can decide to expand to a different language or different topic.
Yeah. I see a lot of questions actually about collaboration and reaching to the right partners. Let's tackle one more in that area from Shannon saying, how do you collaborate with others when you're not known? Won't most people you reach out to wonder what's in it for them? That's exactly what they will wonder about. And that's why it's so important to start with people who are on the same wavelength, who are just a few steps ahead of you, and who you can genuinely support as well. You might not have an audience yet, but you need to have something that the partner will get in return, right? And again, this is something that we help you really refine inside the course and inside the community as well. If you don't have an audience yet, you need to reach out by making a very clear point on what else you can offer to them. And it could be your expertise. It could be a resource that you are willing to share with their audience. Maybe you're willing to host a workshop or a session for them if you are a coach, a consultant, an expert. It can be a variety of different things. But yes, there needs to be something in it for the partner. And on a related note, I just saw we have another question from Neil saying, would you take an equity stake in my Substack? It could be a win-win. When you think of win-wins, you also need to make sure that the time and effort put into the collaboration by each partner is equal or feels equal to each partner. So we, for example, when it comes to equity, etc., that's something that we are personally only doing with newsletters who have at least over 50,000 subscribers already and have a track record on other platforms, because then we know that our efforts, our time cannot go to waste. In all other situations, it just makes a lot more sense to join us inside Substack system, get our coaching, get our advice, and grow your publication that way. Quick welcome to everyone who has joined us. I see a lot of names in the feed again. I see a lot of Germans, I feel, or German names, or maybe I'm just thinking they're German, but if you are from Germany, Austria, hello and extra welcome. Or if you're from the Netherlands, like Yari and Banco. I see Carlos joined us, Courtney, Irmgrad, Madalena. I see Elizabeth. I see Catherine. I see Jeffrey. I see Agile Experts. I see. Let me just scroll further down. I think we have a lot of members who've already joined us inside the community as well. So hello and welcome to all of you. Make sure to introduce yourself in our intro space once you join us over on Circle.
One question we got from Nisha earlier on was about if we want more than 3 months of group coaching and community access, is that possible and how much is it? Yes, it's definitely possible. A lot of our members decide to actually stay with the group coaching and stay with our community, which is called The Link, by the way. And for 3 months of additional access, that is $275. So per 3 months, $275. But that's definitely an option. So the first 3 months are completely free. And then you can decide yourself if you want to stick with us inside the community or not.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling to see if there are any topics that we haven't mentioned at all.
I think one question that was interesting from Carlos earlier on, saying like, I am writing in a very specific niche. Is focusing on Substack notes the best growth strategy for me, considering that only a small portion of people on Substack belong to my niche? So I would say, if you write about a very specific niche, I would actually dare to argue that Substack, because it has so many users, they are hanging out on the platform. What I would then recommend initially, yes, write notes, just make that a consistent habit. That's exactly what we teach in Substack system as well, how to do that, how to systemize it. But I would definitely recommend connecting with other newsletters who are in maybe not the exact same niche that you're in, but in adjacent niches, right? Where your audience might be hanging out, because Substack is really built on collaborations. Substack has made it very easy to collaborate with other creators. So you can basically like exchange subscribers with each other. And for our publication, that has also been a very big factor in growth. One other question we got from Tim was actually about the creator bundle, the upgrade. So yes, Tim, the creator bundle consists of, I believe, 10 different workshops that are all focused on different topics that will help you as a creator, as an online creator, not just with your Substack, but also with creating a podcast, for example, creating some digital products, monetizing outside of paid subscriptions, right? So it will teach you additional skills to help you build your creator business. So not just to grow your audience on Substack, which is already what Substack system is about, but also a few steps further into like the whole monetization aspect with digital products, with other monetization avenues, for example.
Mm. Yeah, awesome. I see Leo just said, I'm trying to connect to other creators, but they're not really returning my messages. So we discussed this just a couple minutes ago, right? Especially if you're reaching out to others for collaborations, you need to be really clear on what you are bringing to the table as well. Typically, if you're reaching out to other creators at a similar size, they are much more likely to return your messages, obviously. But even there, I would be strategic about it. If someone would message me just saying, you know, hi, saw your content. If there's no clear call to action and there's no incentive to respond, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. They're busy, right? So they want to know why would I want to respond to this person? I know this sounds very transactional, but again, we're all busy, you know, we have cluttered feeds, cluttered inboxes. So you want to be intentional, not just about building your audience, but also about connecting with other creators. And part of why we are so excited about our community and why we're so proud of it is because it makes it so easy to connect with other like-minded people, right? When you join us inside Substack system and you join us inside the community, you know that suddenly you are in a space with hundreds of people who have similar goals, who know what you're talking about, and who are there to respond to your questions, to support you, to do live streams with you, to do guest collaborations, and much, much more. And of course, it's much easier to connect in a space like that rather than just, you know, randomly messaging people on Substack.
One other question I saw quite often was, and for example, Lori asked this question, what is your opinion of Substack versus LinkedIn for business? And I love this question because we see a lot of people who have been on LinkedIn for a while now actually joining Substack, and they say like, well, I like it a lot better over here on Substack. And I think that shows the advantage of Substack right now, where on LinkedIn, there's a lot of noise, right? There's a lot of people with a lot of AI generated content screaming. There's a lot of noise, and it's pretty difficult to stand out in that sea of noise. And on Substack, the community is way more supportive. It values depth and actual like value and actual like sharing your personal side, not just like your expert side or your business side, but you as an individual as well. And we find that a lot of people who migrate from LinkedIn to Substack are like, I wish I started sooner. And personally, what I think makes Substack a better platform is you are optimizing for subscribers, right? And on LinkedIn, you're optimizing for followers. And like Sinem said earlier on, subscribers are worth so much more than a follower. So that's something that is already very important. But also Substack is like your home base on the internet nowadays. It allows you to create content in the way you want to, but LinkedIn, you're very dependent on following what the algorithm wants you to create. And you're penalized heavily if you're not creating for the algorithm, where on Substack, you can choose to write notes in the way you want to, design your newsletter in the way you want to. You can decide if you want a podcast or not, if you want to do live streaming or not, if you want to do guest posting or not. All of those features simply aren't possible on LinkedIn. So personally, that's why I think Substack is the better platform for business as well.
And I think it's always a personal choice as well, right? What's the kind of culture and vibe on the platform, and does it make sense for you personally? As Yari has said, you will find a lot of people on Substack who are basically saying, "Oh, like this is so refreshing. I'm coming from LinkedIn," and the primary reason is because LinkedIn is just so busy. It's, you know, it's way past this peak phase where it was easy to grow an audience. It's very hard to start out on LinkedIn now, and even people with massive audiences are struggling to reach their audiences. again, because it's following and not a subscriber list. And I'm so sure that, you know, if you just spend some time on different publications, on creators' profiles, you will be able to make a really clear distinguishment for yourself as well.
Martina has a question saying, I have written 6 books and I have a podcast with over 330 episodes. That's amazing, Martina. Can I repurpose them on Substack as well? Yes, you absolutely can. And I love that you have 6 books and so many episodes, because that's a gold mine of content that you can now repurpose for your Substack. Specifically also like your Substack or your podcast episodes, you can upload them again to Substack as if they are new episodes, as if they are new posts, basically. So you can say from your 330, you'll pick out the 100 best ones, for example. That is now like 100 pieces of content you already have for your Substack, which is amazing, right? If you post twice a week, you already have a year worth of content ready. If you have 6 books, I can imagine you can take some of your best chapters, your best paragraphs, maybe even make some of your books, access to some of your books as a paid perk, right? For paid subscribers. So absolutely, the content you already have, you can definitely repurpose it. And we always recommend it. That's what Sinem and I did as well in the beginning. We repurposed our Medium articles to our Substack to get some initial traction going on. Make use of the time and effort you have already put into that amazing backlog of content.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a bunch of a few questions that I want to address. Let me quickly address something from Paul. He said, do we sign up for the link in the confirmation, or is it automatic? Paul, you need to please sign up separately by following the instructions in your confirmation email, so that you can then join us on the Circle community and introduce yourself. Tim said something interesting. He said, should I do video notes or written? I've recorded a 1-minute introduction. Should I post it or put it in notes? You can do both, and that's the beauty of it. If you look at my profile, for example, you'll see a big variety of content types in my notes feed. I'm posting videos, I'm posting images, I'm posting restacks, I'm doing short form notes, I'm doing longer ones. So it's really up to you, but you need to think of notes being a little more fast paced and your publication just being a hub that stays there. So it's really about, what is that 1-minute video doing? What's the purpose of it? If you want people to come across it in the long run, you'll put it on your publication. If it's just a quick nugget that you want to get out there, it would go on notes.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a great asset for your about page, for example, if you want more people to like continuously see this. Yeah. We have a question from Courtney in the chat. With the 3-month community bonus, it's free for 90 days, and it's up to us to track the timeline for renewal if we are not planning for additional investment in our budget, because Courtney has approval for the course investment, but not for any other expenses. So yes, Courtney, basically how it works, when you sign up for the link for 3 months of bonus access, you will also get email reminders about your membership status and your renewal status. So it's always a good idea to keep an eye on your email inbox, but you will get email notifications from that as well. So it's not like you have to keep track of the 90 days yourself. You can always do that, of course, if you want, but you will also get email notifications.
We're almost an hour in, so I want to remind everyone who's still here with us, that's probably a couple more minutes that we are on. If you have any questions that we haven't addressed yet, please drop them in the chat now. I know some of the stuff might have gotten lost. We really have a ton of stuff in the chat. If you're still here, there's still something that you want us to address, please let us know. If you are still on the fence, make sure to register as quickly as possible so that you are on our list to receive the link for the private coaching session tomorrow. And yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. Rosalind says, just signed up. Welcome, Rosalind. We are happy to have you. And I saw another question from Lorna. When does the 90 days start? So Lorna, that is actually something you determine. So after you've joined Substack system, you will then be given the option to join the link. The moment you join it, right, and that will be very obvious once you've joined, that's when your 90-day or 3-month access will be activated. So if you're like, you know what, I want to join 2 weeks from now, then you'll join 2 weeks from now. And from that point onwards, you will have 90 days access. So you are in full control of that.
Lorna also said, if we are already in the link, does this extend our membership? Yes. So if you already had an active subscription with us, you are basically getting the 3-month extension. We will be in touch with you if there's anything else to do. But normally we're handling it on our end. It just depends on how long you've already been part of the community, but it's getting extended by the 90 days. I see Michelle also saying, how long will we have access to the AI growth companion? That's right, Stack. So that's also a 3-month trial package, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for 3 months, you can test it as part of your participation inside the community as well. You can test it. You can schedule your notes. You can analyze your notes, do everything with it. And if you like it, if you want to stick to it, you can just subscribe to it on a longer term basis.
Jennifer asks, where do we find access to Circle, or is the community through Teachable? Yeah, so the community is indeed through Circle. You will find access in your email inbox as well. So you'll have a confirmation email going directly to your email inbox. There you will find a link to join the Circle community, but also in Substack system, in the course environment itself, in one of the first lessons there, you will find a link to join the link. That's always a funny thing to say.
Cool. I see some people have said they had questions before that we couldn't answer. If you had a question, please just copy the question over here, because we are not able to track down your questions from before, if it's been like a long time ago.
One question we got earlier on from Danielle was, after someone subscribes to your Substack as a paid subscriber, what would you give them as a thank you in your first email? Which is a great question. And this goes also for if someone subscribes as a free subscriber. You can set up this automated first email that subscriber will receive. Usually what we recommend is just a very warm welcome message, right? So you just welcome them to your environment, to your Substack, and then usually just send them a few links to your best pieces of content, so that instantly, right, they have, like, you share some value with them when they've just upgraded to a paid tier. You share some of the best pieces of content with them in that email, so they instantly have this progress, right? They instantly have this feeling of, oh, I'm in the right place and you're sharing value with me.
Yeah. I think we will wrap it all up in a couple of minutes. I see we're 5 minutes short from the 2-hour mark. I see one really interesting question from Lindsay, though. Again, this is one of your final chances to drop in your questions if there's still anything you want to know. Also, if you've been, still been on the fence, and you have a question, please drop it in the chat so we can answer it before we close the session, so you can secure your coaching session. Lindsay said, how would a paid Substack complement my paid education community I run on a different platform? That's a great question, because we've been in the same position, right? We've had our private community way before we launched our Substack publication. So I would love to address that. So Lindsay, you can think of your paid subscribers on your Substack publication, if you have one, as your VIP readers. Those are your super fans, and those are also the people most likely to join another paid community, a course, your coaching programs, or whatever you are offering. So the way we look at Substack for ourselves and for many of our clients is not that it's the primary monetization method, but it's the growth channel. That's how you get discovered. That's how you build visibility. You can also get paid if you monetize, but then those people who pay for your content on Substack, they are very likely going to be the people who also want to pay for your other things that you already have set up, right? Many of our clients, they build their paid tier and then they build other things on top, like mini courses, like databases, like coaching programs. In your case, you already have a community up and running, so that would be a no-brainer for you to think about, okay, how can I use my Substack to actually gain people for my paid community, because it's very likely that your community is going to be priced at a significantly higher level than a Substack subscription.
Yeah, exactly. And that way you would just use it like an entry point offer. And that's always why we say your paid Substack is the starting point of monetization and not necessarily the end point of monetization.
Yeah.
We have another question from John. What about surveying your audience? Best practices. Yeah, John, exactly. Surveying your audience is super important, because the better you know your audience, the better you can serve them, right? So very important. What we like to do in Substack itself, in the post editor, you can very easily add surveys or polls, basically, which is just a one question with a multiple choice answer. And we made it a habit to put that regularly in our posts, so that over time you learn a lot about your audience, because all they have to do is just press one button to share their opinion or to click what they want to learn more about. So you make it a habit to do that. That's very effective. Another method is to actually use Substack's chat, right? So everyone who subscribes to your publication, you will also be able to create one chat with them, where you have everyone in one chat, basically, and you can ask them whatever you want to ask them, right? So if you want to learn about their goals, about their challenges, about their struggles, their pain points, you can use the chat to ask them. And also members will then chip in and share advice with each other, for example. But that's two of the most effective ways to do it. Alternatively, you can always decide to even send someone a direct message, right? If they're very active with your content, you can send them a direct message on Substack itself as well, just to get more in a conversation with them. But absolutely something we recommend doing.
Yeah, the better you understand your audience, the better you're able to serve them, and the better you're able to actually monetize your expertise, because you know that you're actually creating value. All right, we're close to wrapping up. I would say a final call for questions, final call for anyone who's still on the fence. Let us know if there's anything holding you back from joining us and securing your free coaching call, your free private call.
In the
So
meantime,
we can get started.
In the meantime, I'll answer a question from Sylvia, who asks, what should we focus on to get the very first subscribers? Notes, long form content, or something else? Indeed, notes. I would say get started with notes. If you're completely new to Substack, notes is the best way to get familiar with the platform, but also to get visibility on your message and your profile. And then once you have a good feeling of how notes work, right, you already get some subscribers, then you branch out into, for example, long form content or some of the other growth features.
Yeah, I see Jeffrey just said, I'm setting up my profile inside the link community. Audit doesn't have a place for our Substack URL. Jeffrey, we actually ask you to share your Substack URL or any other profiles in your introduction. So of course you can add it to your profile instead of your URL, but that's just a standard circle template. But once you're inside the spaces, we actually also have a daily engagement pod where we encourage you to share your latest notes, your posts, or any other content that you have created with us, so that we can always, check out what you've been working on and support each other. So there are lots of spaces where we are asking you for your URLs, not just on your profile.
I have one question I see from Ja, and I really want to answer this question because I've seen it a few times in the chat before, a similar question. Any advice for people with imposter syndrome who think their writing isn't good enough? Right. So for some people, it might be that they think their writing isn't good enough. For some, it might be that they don't think their knowledge is valuable enough. I would really recommend you to just get going. It is something you cannot think your way out of. It's only something you can act your way out of. And believe me, Ja, when I made my first posts years ago on Medium, when I look back at it now, I'm very embarrassed of the quality, right? But I'm so happy I got started because that's the only way I was improving my writing. Just by doing it and by publicly sharing it. And every article, every post, you get a little bit better. And if you do that for long enough, a year from today, 2 years from today, it's unrecognizable, your work. So definitely just get going, just get posting. Imposter syndrome is also something that never goes away. It will always be there with you in like sneaky ways or shapes anyway.
I couldn't agree more. I think this also circles back to constantly learning, constantly trying to improve. But you have to get started without feeling confident, because you won't ever have that confidence if you don't start publishing. And the way I look at it is, if you're brand new, you won't have millions of people seeing your stuff anyway. And that's a good thing, because it means you can experiment, you can publish stuff that is not your best stuff yet, because you are in a learning process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we are ready to say goodbye. I think it was a really engaging session. We had a lot of great insights and comments and questions in the chat. You've seen more of it than I did, Yari, but I feel a lot of excitement inside the community to make this a fantastic year on Substack. And yeah, I think we are doing a great job with our publication. And if there's any kind of inspiration that our work is, have any impact, and any positive impact that our work is having on you, that's already basically a big check mark for us on doing a good job for having you here.
Exactly. It was so cool to see so many people in the chat being excited to, get started on Substack, or they already are like getting started over the past few weeks and months and are really looking to take it to the next level. To us, that means a lot. Like, it's very inspiring to see everyone so excited about Substack and here in the chat with us. So, and yeah, Sinem, I want to thank you. I mean, you've been on for 2 hours. I hope your voice is still holding on, and I don't know if you have a cup of tea ready there, but it was amazing.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. I see we still have a bunch of people in the room, and I see a lot of thank yous. Thank you back. Thank you for your time, for your trust, for your attention. And if you signed up, you will find all the links in your confirmation emails. If there's anything that you're confused by, feel free to respond to any of the emails, and we'll be in touch with you as quickly as possible. And we're really looking forward to having you in our coaching sessions inside the community and watching your publications grow. And that being said, have an amazing rest of the day, an amazing rest of the week. And we'll see you either inside the link or over on Substack. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.